Okay, it is 5 o'clock. Council President Ladner is not here today, so I will be going through the agenda. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes, April 8th, 2024, 5 p.m. council work session, April 15th, 2024, council work session, and April 15th, 2024, council meeting. Questions, changes? Everything's good? Okay. Next, public hearing, ordinance number 244581, approve zoning text amendment 249-24. Tommy?
How y'all doing today?
Good.
Good, Tommy.
That's good. I'm Tommy Williams with the Planning Department, and this text amendment will amend district requirements for B5, the Central Business District. The changes will make restaurant a permitted use, and it will make bars or use on appeal or special exception, which means it has to go before the Board of Zoning Adjustments. Do you have any questions?
That'll be, so Class 1 restaurants and bars would still have to go before BOZA, right? It's going to leave the Class 1?
The restaurants will be permitted,
Okay.
so they will not go before those. The bars will.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Resolutions. Resolution number 24-073, approve acceptance of Alpha Insurance donation for fire blankets for Decatur Fire and Chief.
Hello, Tracy Thornton, Decatur Fire. This resolution is for some fire blankets that Alpha Insurance has donated to the fire departments. 4 different blankets. These blankets will be used mostly with conjunction if we have an electric car that catches on fire to be able to cover them up and help dissipate the heat.
Okay, any questions?
Where'd you say, where are they going to go? I know they're at the deck, but where are you putting them at the deck?
We'll put them on, we have 4 blankets. We'll probably put them on 4 different trucks spaced out across the city.
Okay, so it won't be stationed at the deck, at the parking deck.
No, sir, I believe the city is purchasing a blanket to go in that space.
Separate from what this is?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Resolution number 24074, approve funding correction for Animal Services box truck.
Good evening, gentlemen. Dawn Roniger, Finance Department. This has been a long road, I know, for Animal Services in this truck and truck box. Basically, the verbiage of the last resolution, which stipulated the increase in bid, did not cover the increase in funding that was needed. I have given you handouts to show you how we got there. But basically, the FY22 original budget plus the amendment did not cover, because we did have a sole source purchase of a vehicle that was more than what was originally budgeted, and then the shortfall being $22,212 in the budget. It is a specialized piece of equipment, and then you have the total truck price there. The vehicle, including all the outfitting and the shipping, is $90,798, and we just needed verbiage in the written record to show that that funding had been appropriated.
And I'm assuming is that coming from unassigned?
Yes.
Okay.
General fund unassigned.
Okay, resolution number 24075, declare surplus of trucks no longer needed by Community Development Department.
Good evening, Jeremy Sherrill with Procurement. This is a request to surplus 2 2006 trucks that were updated with the newly delivered fleet update.
Any questions?
Are those going on gut deals? Is that what we're doing with those?
Generally, yes.
Okay, resolution number 24-076, award bid 24-011 to Vulcan Construction Materials for bulk aggregates.
Yes, sir. This is a renewal of the annual contract. Bid was open on the 16th of April. We received 2 submissions, and Vulcan Construction Materials was the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay. Any questions? Resolution number 24-077, award bid number 24-012 to ADCO Pipe and Supply for drainage supplies for the Jack Allen Fields.
Yes, this is for all the drainage that's needed for those fields. We opened bids on April 16th. We invited 24 vendors, and ADCO was the lone respondent here.
Okay. Any questions? All right, Resolution 24078, declare surplus of equipment no longer used by the landfill department.
Yes, sir. This is a stationary crane that is outdated, and they're moving out of their fleet.
Okay. Ordinances, first reading, ordinance number 24-4585, declare surplus and approve the sale of 111 4th Avenue Northwest to Briba Renovations, LLC.
Alan Stover, Community Development Manager. We had a request from Bieber to purchase this lot. They're adjacent. They have a property that they bought adjacent to this, and they just want to expand their yard.
Okay. Any questions? Ordinances. Ordinance number 24-4580A, approve amendment to Code of Decatur, Alabama, Section 24.5 for repossession of motor vehicles.
There's been no change to it since when it was introduced. We discussed it at a work session. We discussed it when it was introduced. So there's been no change since it was originally presented.
Okay. Anybody have questions? Ordinance number 24-4582, approve street name change to Clear Creek Drive Southwest.
All right, this is for final plat, Valley Park North. And not only did the numbers duplicate, but the name duplicated. So for USPS and emergency services, we are recommending a name change to Clear Creek Drive Southwest.
Okay. Any questions? Ordinance number 24-4583, approve annual ad valorem tax levy for FY25.
Yes, this is just the annual requirement by state that we have to do each year, and there are no new taxes.
No new taxes. Okay. And reappoint James Skip Thompson to the Morgan County Industrial Park and Economic Development Cooperative with a term ending May 16th, 2028.
Yes, this will be his first term as he served his first term when he replaced the section back in November of 2022.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, so that concludes the work session. Is there anything else from mayor or council? No? Okay, we will move into public comment. What we're going to do is try to do what we have been doing, keep it at 3 minutes. Questions towards the council, we'll have a timer. Yeah, and that's it. We want to keep it kind of the way we have been, where it's constructive, no disparaging comments, and we'll be good to go. We got Mr. Griffin, if you want to come first.
Wasn't on the schedule, first of all, certainly you don't realize acoustics are so bad, and you guys need to invest in those things they have at church.
The little in-ear monitor things?
Yeah, I agree. People would pass these down. I prepared these. I made some colored ones for y'all. I don't have them ready. This is just a list of things that Parks and Rec does under their therapeutic program. It's not all inclusive, but it is fairly inclusive. And I think it gives you some kind of idea of the magnitude. This program is one of the biggest programs that Parks and Rec has. It serves everybody. It's not just Special Olympics or anything like that. Also, these are my notes. I hope to go by them. I hope my 3 minutes doesn't start before I pass these out. I mean, it doesn't stop. You just pass those down. It's unfortunate that we're here today. I don't think we had to be, but we are. My name is Mark Griffin. I live on High Point Drive Southwest. I've lived here for over 30 years. I have 2 sons and a stepdaughter. One son has Down syndrome, and my stepdaughter has developmental disabilities. I was 27 years old. My son was born with Down syndrome. He's 42 now. My daughter is 22. I'm not getting any younger, and needless to say, my hearing's gone. In 2 months, I'll be 70. For over half my life, I've tried to provide a good life for them and will continue to do so until I die, or can no longer do it. I worry about them now, and I feel for their well-being. I moved here to Decatur to assume the position of the ARC of Morgan County Director, an advocacy agency for people with disabilities. My spouse was the president and CEO of Centers for the Developmentally Disabled. Both of us worked very hard to make Decatur a place of opportunity and community inclusion for individuals with developmental disabilities. Many of you have children and know what it's like to worry about them having a healthy, happy, meaningful life. For those of you with typical sons and daughters, there are many activities as they grow. Sports, dances, trips, and other activities. At some point, most will leave the nest and make lives of their own. This is not true for a lot of parents and individuals with developmental disabilities. Bicycles aren't carrying them off to meet with friends. Cars aren't pulling up with friends ready to go places. There's no dropping off at the mall or movies. Unlike typical children, they often don't grow up and leave the nest or stop needing support from the community. Oftentimes the parents end up with a person that they have to provide care for all their lives. I didn't have a night alone without my son for 18 years. So I know what it's like, and here we are 42 years later. Therapeutic programs in Decatur make it possible for my children, now adults, to have rich and fulfilling life. They swim, bowl, attend drum, rhythm classes, Zumba and dance aerobics, play baseball, go on trips, attend exercise classes, and have fun parties. Other participants enjoy golf, basketball, volleyball, bocce, weightlifting, and other sports. After correspondence starting in early April and subsequent meeting with Mr. McMasters and Tab Bowling here in this room, a meeting was held on April 11th with parents and athletes. It was clear to all that a therapeutic program could not be handled piecemeal as what had been proposed previously, and that a therapeutic program director would continue to be essential for continuing to enhance the lives of children and adults with disabilities, and the position would be reposted, which I'm understanding it has, and will come down, I guess, as Stephanie said, Monday. During that meeting, 70 parents and athletes voiced their concerns. Many issues were raised, and some of them still require resolution and clarification.
Mr. Griffin, if you could wrap it up, please.
Pardon me?
Wrap it up, please. 3 minutes is up.
Okay, well, I wasted a lot of it trying to get my stuff out. We were led to believe that we could charter a bus, as in the past, to take athletes, volunteers, and coaches to events and competitions to be paid for by Special Olympics. Later, this changed, and with legality and liability being cited. I talked with affordability. I talked with state officials today, and they told that the funds are available, and as for liability, all coaches, athletes, unified partners, and volunteers are covered under their insurance. This is still possible if the action was initiated. Locally, I have a question that why is it that Turner Searles and DYS can have vehicles and drivers when we cannot? Apparently Turner Searles has a vehicle that they use and can hire part-time drivers. Why would Decatur Parks and Rec not want coaches to use the dorms at Troy University and the food service, which only involves a $10 fee, instead of private transportation and lodging? That doesn't seem fiscally responsible. What happened to the grants that Mr. Stover and some of us parents got together to write to use for transportation with wheelchair lifts? If we weren't going to be able to use them, I don't know why we wrote them. I wanted to ask whether they were rejected by the grantor or not accepted by someone at Parks and Rec. Help with applications and paperwork was promised. However, parents were told they could get physicals and other required paperwork at the Aquadome. I went there personally. I did get a copy of my son's physical, but much of the other paperwork was missing. Other parents that were there at the same time had the same problem. We were told they had to be in by Monday, and they were, but today I get a text that help is now available to do that.
Mr. Griffin,
I'm going to conclude right now.
Okay, thank you.
Conclude with a general request that athletes and parents be involved in the planning process as been in the past. Efforts to remove roadblocks and recognize that parents and participants are the consumers in this process. They're not, they're to be aided to achieve their goals, not have roadblocks put in front of them. Anyway, I hope that by your next meeting, you will be able to address some of those concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Love.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I was Facebook friends with our mayor until Friday evening. He posted in response to our awareness walk, and I quote, "A Friday night for our neighbors. Sherry and I apologize to our neighbors for the disorderly conduct." I responded to his post because I saw all of the replies saying things like, "They have no class. They arrested the cop. What else do they want? Hang in there, guy." I can't tell you my exact reply because, as I said, I was unfriended, but I said something like, "I can't believe all of these un-American replies. We are practicing our constitutional rights. The mayor should apologize because it is his fault that we must continue to protest." I invited the repliers to the council meeting so they could hear what we want, things like police reform, which we have not received. I also mentioned how many of them supported the insurrection and praised our founding fathers for their disorderly conduct. We should be considered heroes, and they should join us. I also shared that we were doing God's work. As Isaiah 1:17 states, "Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow." The fatherless child and widow were with us Friday. May I ask, have you ever lost someone you love senselessly? Has anyone you cared for been killed in error by the police? I took a picture of Steve's baby girl Friday holding a sign that said, "You could have knocked." If they would have knocked, he would still be here. The majority of you on the dais and the responders to the mayor's post have not and cannot begin to understand the hurt this community feels. This is not an isolated incident. Jaden DeJarnette was killed because he did not have on his headlights. George Floyd was killed for allegedly using a counterfeit 20. Eric Garner was killed for selling single cigarettes. Tyree Nichols was beaten to death for God knows what. Breonna Taylor was killed for sleeping in her bed. Tatiana Jefferson was killed through her window in her house because a neighbor reported that the door was left open. I could go on, and we've had enough. Just Google know their names. It is so pompous and heartless for the mayor and the repliers to judge us for how we respond. How should we respond when it's 2024 and we're still fighting to be respected and treated equitably? How should we respond when our sons, daughters, husbands, and wives are treated like target practice for the police? How would you respond if the shoe was on the other foot? In the words of Assata Shakur, nobody in this world, nobody in history has ever gotten their freedom by appealing to the moral sense of the people who were oppressing them. You will not define the terms of this revolution. We do not need your approval to legitimize this cause. Yes, we make noise, but we are also very solution-oriented. We write letters and policies. We offer expert advice and service. And we run for political office and vote. We stand on business. And we already told the mayor and the entire city, no justice, no peace. So you know exactly when the protest will end. Justice for Steve Perkins.
You don't need to, do you need to? It's up to you.
Do y'all have any questions for me?
So Stephanie's here representing Parks and Recreation and Therapeutics. Do y'all have any questions?
Not right now. Does anybody else?
Okay.
Now, this is something that's been ping-ponging around internally for a while. Some of them.
We took the hotel and run, but we on your tail.
SE Love, Essie Love. Winka Murphy. Bianca, I'm sorry. Julie Godwin. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello. How are you guys doing today?
Okay, how are you?
I wasn't really prepared to come up here and speak, but there's a lot of things that's on my heart. First, I would like to say that I honestly do not know how you're waking up every day and how you're able to go from being a mother of 2 and married to just a widow and 2. So I take my hat off to you, and I'm so sorry that this has happened to you. Secondly, Billy Jackson, I would like for you to know that if you were to run, this whole state or city would actually vote for you. It would actually vote for you. And another thing that I would like to address is how come the DOJ has not been here earlier? I would like to know how come gag orders were not soon and very soon applied to much earlier, and how come the DOJ has not been here any sooner? Those are the only questions that I have when it comes to my family, Steve Perkins. Thank you.
Julie Godwin.
I'd like to hold mine for a minute.
Okay. Mike Stovall.
All right. I was going to address the mayor, but he's not here. But after these last few weeks, our demands have not changed, especially after the third Friday. I feel like that if Todd would be an adult in the room, if he loved this city, he would do what's best for this city, and he would go ahead and resign. Our city and our community is hurting. Not just the black community, not just the white community, but the whole city is hurting. And I still think it's time for Todd to think about the people and not think about his position and go ahead and resign. Thank you.
Tommy Cook.
Hello. How's it going? I was going to address Tal, but since he cowered out and left, one of the biggest things I was going to address is who's in charge of the welfare of the city? So that would be you guys, right? That would be you, right? How is it that this is our 7th month since this tragedy has happened, but we haven't trained our cops on, how to treat protesters when they're protesting? Our cops haven't went through an ounce of protest training in 7 months since this has happened. Do you know how I know? Because Alabama state law says that as a protester, is our First Amendment right? Our First Amendment right to protest, freedom of peaceful assembly, freedom of speech. But Alabama state law says that if a protester is not breaking the law, not being violent, not impeding traffic, not doing anything against any other citizen, but as long as they're chanting, moving on the sidewalk, and even if they're moving in the road, as long as they're following traffic laws, that they have a right to do that, right? The only way that you can ask a protester to disperse is that you gotta set in order a curfew. That's the only way that a protester can be asked to disperse. So we have officers that are breaking the law. And no one is saying anything, and no one is holding them accountable. It's 20 lawsuits that has lined up already. Are y'all wanting a class action civil suit against this city for rogue cops? Are you serious? No one has stood up. We said that Herman was the best lawyer in the state of Alabama, but have you trained your cops, these cops, and said, hey, we need to come in and have a class on protesting? Because we will not allow these cops to intimidate, to mistreat, to do anything to these protesters that's unlawful, guys. We have to take a stand. One of you guys got to take a stand. Our mayor, he walks out of every council meeting. But he wrote you a letter about 2 years ago when you was vacationing, and he told you that you better have your butt in your seat. Why don't y'all hold him to the same standard? Why don't y'all hold him to that same standard? But he'll walk out like that's okay. We already, listen, what we believe, this is what we feel. We feel like Tab is more of the police chief, and he has Todd as an scapegoat. Because we have, listen, because he speaks directly to officers up under Todd's command. And they call him directly. So therefore, you got, listen, y'all forward. Y'all legacy, y'all name is on the line. You don't want to be on the other side, bro. I'm telling you. Y'all don't want to be on the other side. I know all of y'all love opinion except you. Y'all love opinion, but loving opinion is going to get you on the opposite side of where this thing is going to be.
Tommy, did you wrap it up?
Thank you.
My questions are directed to you, McMasters. What is a police liaison?
The police liaison, I'm the intermediary between the department and the council.
Okay. You do know you're the liaison between the police, council, and community. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, you left that part out. What have you done action-wise to be the liaison between the police department and community, as you say, council? What have you done in the last 7 months to be that liaison?
With the community?
With the police department and the community.
With the police department and the community, we've discussed with the chief some policy changes that have been implemented, had sit-down meetings. You were in one of them.
Outside of I was in one of them, yes. A lot of us have been, but right. Outside of meetings, which is something in your job title that you do, I said action in regards to change. That's what I mean.
Wait, I'm sorry.
What have you done action-wise as being a liaison between the police department and the community? Let me make it broader. What have you done to push forward safety as a liaison between the police department and the community, outside of meetings, phone calls?
It's primarily been meetings and phone calls up until this point.
Okay. As the police liaison, have you noticed any patterns from the police department over the last 7 months?
No.
So you haven't noticed excessive force?
So
police misconduct? No de-escalation tactics? Negligence?
I think there's some stuff that we all wish could have been done differently. I think we live in a society where we expect perfection out of our police officers. So
that's your opinion, but we've came in here for 7 months and told you how we feel. The fact that you've had 7 months and you've done nothing to help push forward safety for this community is beyond heartbreaking and disgusting. And when Tommy was just telling you that you don't want to be on the other side, as of 5 o'clock today, the DOJ agreed to meet with Katrilla and her attorney.
I got 78,000 questions. Well, this don't work anyway. So, based on what you've seen that's happened in the last 7 months, and based on the policy changes that you said that you guys have spoken about, or that you have met about, that you've had meetings about, what are, like she said, the actionable policy changes that you guys have either implemented or are about to implement that you see can bring change to the relationship between the community and the DPD?
That's something I know the chief has been working very diligently on. I do not want to speak for the chief, but I'm sure he would be happy to talk about it.
Okay, and as the liaison, isn't that your job as a liaison to speak to us as an intermediary between him, the police department, the council, and us to get that information and relay it from him to them and from him to us and from us to him and from us to the council? Wouldn't that be the job?
Not necessarily. I mean, that's Danny, that's some of that day-to-day stuff that being a liaison is not crafting the direction of the department. I know the chief is working on a lot of different things.
So maybe we should change the name from liaison to just intermediary or someone in the middle, because a liaison is a communications person. That's what a liaison does. They communicate between two different parties so that they can get an understanding about what the parties have been meeting about, or the separate sides of it. Okay, so with that being said, with those policy changes that are supposed to be being made, what time frame? Because it's been 7 months. We've been coming here doing the same thing for 7 months. He keeps saying that he has these policy changes. At what point do those policy changes either, one, come to the public, or two, come to the council so that somebody on the council can say, hey, these are the changes that we are making?
I hope soon.
Soon. So you said you hope soon. And what is a time frame that we can expect that those changes are made? Because as he's under you guys, actually under the mayor, but you guys have the power to say, hey, Todd, we need those actions. We need those answers, and we need them sooner rather than later. Is anyone able to hold him to the fire and say, hey, I'm going to give you a month. If you don't have those on my desk in a month, then we're going to have a serious problem. Or are you going to say, if I don't have those answers in a month, then I'm going to give you another month?
Danny, I would fully expect that we should have something within a month. We have been told things are being worked on, and I understand your frustration not seeing them, so I would think that we can say something. Let me just say one other thing, and I may have misunderstood your question about a little bit of the relationship between the community and the police. And for me, and I think I've told some of you this, a lot of that just starts with common decency, professionalism, and respect on both sides, right? And I told you about an incident that someone called me about, and it was not related to this, but in the end, I think we have to respect each other, and we have a job to do, and we have to remain professional. I expect that out of the city's employees as well, but that is something that has to be reciprocated. And that may not have been part of your question.
But listen, any answer is better than no answer. So even though I didn't ask that question, I applaud you for giving me a response on what you're trying to get across. So the next question would be, you've all stated how much, well, except Billy, he actually stated that he likes. He actually likes Todd. He actually likes Todd, but he still would call for his resignation or the firing or his termination. You've all stated how much you like Todd, but what we have not seen, and I've told Todd this to his face, what we have not seen is those actionable policies that we expect to come across our desk or come to us, at least as a community, to say, hey, this is what we're doing. So when you have what we had happen a little over a week ago, when you have police officers who are blatantly breaking policy in front of the chief, at what point are you saying, hey, he doesn't either have control of his officers or they're not trained well enough, and once again, that becomes his fault because he's accountable for his officers. So at what point do you look at those videos and you say, well, that shouldn't have happened, and that shouldn't have happened, and that shouldn't have happened, but we're going to let it keep happening?
I know a lot of that stuff right now is being investigated by internal affairs. It's a personnel matter, and
I've heard the same thing. I'm just trying to get your thoughts on it. If you think that what you saw, that's internal affairs over there, what your thoughts on it is. I know what Billy's are. I've assumed that Pike understands or says, and I'll let you speak for yourself, so I'm not speaking for you.
You're doing a good job. Go ahead.
That he understands that at some point something has to happen. And we all saw the same thing. We all were there. We all saw 3-4 people put in handcuffs, one let go. We all saw 3 people arrested that shouldn't have been arrested. We all saw things that were said that shouldn't have been said. But what has happened?
it's being investigated.
Exactly, it's being investigated. But my question is, when is it going to stop being investigated by the same cops that's doing the investigation and causing the crime? And when is the council going to say, hey, we're going to do something about that? We have to figure out, at some point, somebody has to be a leader. At some point, somebody has to step up and say, you know what, you might not like me for it, I might not get voted in again, but we have to make a change, and we have to figure out how we're going to bridge the gap between the community that's hurting, that's calling for change, and between a department of police that do not want change. So what is it going to be? Are you going to stand up and are you going to say, hey, this is what we're going to stand for, or are we going to sit back and say, you know what, they can do whatever they want to do? And if that's the case, then we will build a movement. We will build enough people that will vote everybody on this council out. That is the plan. That is what you have to do. If you do not want to stand out, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Let me just say, I agree. Somebody's got to build the bridge, and it's got to be between the PD and the community. We need help in any way that we can, absolutely. Yeah. One of my requests of Chief Pinion was that. What is that plan? And I hope to see that soon. But my full expectation is that as long as he's chief, he will lead that effort with his department to build a bridge in whatever that looks like between his department and the community.
Sounds good. And the last thing I want to say from here is that if that is the case, what you can do as councilman is put pressure on him to do exactly that. Is say to, hey, you need to stand up and you need to either say it, you need to meet and have that plan put out, or you need to tell somebody what we are doing so that the community can stand up here and say, you know what, we understand. If that's what you're going to do, we will give you time. We will give you a chance to implement that, but if you don't, we will be on your head the same way we have been from the start. We're not going to stop. We're not going to quit. What we're going to call for is justice at all turns and the progression of our community, not just Decatur, not just the African American community, but all of our community. But we will start with the African American community. And I just want y'all to know that. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, what's up? Listen, last Friday I was threatened by a lieutenant. Did you see it? You see the film? I'm not. You see them talking? Hold on. You see the film? Okay. You saw it, right? I saw the film. Oh, you saw it. But you saw the one when they walked in front of Tab House because you commented on it, which all they did was walk across down the street. They didn't even stop at his house. I seen it. But you saw that, but you didn't see that one. Okay, now here's the deal with me. Okay, this guy walks up to me after I told the people to disperse, which I didn't have to do that because you don't have to. The law says you don't have to even disperse as long as you're not messing with nobody or causing problems or there's not a curfew. That's right. That's law, baby. That's right. That's what the law says. Right or wrong? See, this what's wrong, y'all. Everything that's happening, you don't know nothing about it. Well, no, it's nothing about it. That's why you can't enforce anything. That's why, and that's what, is that true, Lord?
Well, Rodney, you know that's subject to the municipal court process, and that's where it'll be determined, okay? Any comments that I would make other than that, that's where the process will occur.
Okay, all right.
Okay?
Okay, this no problem, no problem.
Rodney, hold on. I'm actually curious to know about that myself. So you're telling me that can the police actually make them disperse if there's not a curfew?
Once again, that will be handled in the municipal court, okay? That's where it'll be.
So I'm not processing that, because how is it going to be handled in the municipal court if there's nothing being brought to them other than charges? That doesn't make any sense.
The question about the law that he asked is what I'm telling you.
Yeah, so
he's already shared. We're reviewing the whole process to determine what needs to be done. Okay, but the criminal part or the charges are in the court.
Okay. Okay, listen to me, y'all. Listen to me. Okay, y'all heard that. Okay, now here's the deal. Okay, seeing the film and seeing what happened, okay, you saw it. You ain't seen it. Okay, so here's the deal. What are you gonna do about it? Have you talked to the chief about it? How you said that's not law about it. That's not a policy the way you handled that. And then the man, he takes a taser and sticks it to the man hard. Well, he's already apprehended. He's already handcuffed. He's got 3, 4, 5 police around him, and he pulls out his taser, man. The lieutenant did this over a mask. I mean, so what are you? I mean, when are you gonna confront these issues? Have you? And the chief was there. But what I'm asking you is, what's gonna have to? A white person gonna have to die? One of y'all white sons, or your white brother, or your white sister. Is that what's gonna have to happen?
That's too far.
Because here's what I'm saying.
That's too far. You can address that. Come on, y'all.
Hey, so I'm asking this question. What's going to have to happen? Because, and the reason why I said white, because it's different when it's happening white and happening black.
That's inappropriate. There's no that's highly inappropriate. That is ridiculous. You should not let him sit up here and say that it's okay that somebody's brother or son should be murdered.
Now, here's the deal.
You need to stop. That's ridiculous.
Okay, well,
you should not sit up here and say that somebody's son, brother, or somebody else should be murdered up here because of the race. That's not appropriate. That's not okay.
I'm really trying.
Okay, now, hey, why y'all be quiet? Why y'all be quiet, man? I can't get my point across. Damn, man, talk. Now, that's what you say?
I said I do not believe that is appropriate to say in this meeting or this setting, to say that someone's white son or brother or involved race in any shape, form, or fashion should die in any shape, form, or fashion. Okay, that's not appropriate for me.
In order for change,
that's inappropriate. Yes, that's highly inappropriate. Okay. I hope you would agree with me on that.
Okay, I don't agree with you because
that's okay.
Because her daddy, a black man, her husband, a black man, he dead. Now you done stood up for everything. You didn't stand up for that. Why you didn't stand up for that?
What would you like me to say right now?
I don't want you to do nothing but be quiet. See, y'all let him talk. We got him. Let him talk. See, now, I had to use, that's the only example I could use. To get, that's why everybody got, because listen to me, y'all. This thing is going too far. It's getting too far. These officers are getting out of hand. I mean, every week or every 2 weeks, something is happening, and nobody's doing anything. He asked you for, what have you done? You should have had a list where here's what we've done. We changed this. Was zero tolerance for this. There's no correction at all. Yeah, ain't nobody came up with nothing. Ain't nobody presented nothing. All y'all doing is saying the same thing over and over and over and over. You the liaison and for the people, but you ain't for the people. You can't be for the people, man. And not have a problem with the police department, because they would have a problem with you because you be coming up against them, but you're not coming up against them. You keeping friends, and we're losing loved ones. You know what I'm saying? And I mean to allow them to, like he threatened me. You know, he got to have a lot of power, y'all. I think he can get away with this to do this. He don't just do this you just do it. Somewhere somebody has got the green light to do what they got to do. And you can't tell me this police policy. You believe that's policy?
Rodney, could you wrap it up?
I'm talking to him. I'm not talking to you. Pepper, do you believe that's policy? to threaten people and to act the way he act and to put the taser to the man hard.
Can you define how he threatened you?
What you say?
How did he threaten you? What did he say?
You done seen the film?
I have not
Yes,
seen
you
it.
have. And that's another thing, y'all. Ain't nobody seen the film. Now, but you know what? I'm gonna tell you something.
Hold on, I'm curious to know.
I'm gonna tell y'all something.
Answer my question. How did he threaten you?
Okay, here's the deal. I don't know why I'm expecting y'all to reply to this film, to that cam, and you saw the cam and kill Steve, and you still ain't replied.
So how are you going to?
You ain't got the right definition of that yet. And then you leaked the cam, and the cam you leaked, it told on you.
Right. Hold on. I'm curious to know something. You're not answering the question.
Okay.
I've asked it twice. How did he threaten you? You're not stating how he threatened you. You keep bringing up other subjects. So how did he threaten you? What did he say to you?
Oh, you didn't hear what he said to me?
No, I'm asking you. What did he say to you?
Well, I want to ask.
Don't ask me anything else. Tell me what he said to you. If you're going to accuse a man of threatening you, you should be able to say.
I want to exercise my right to the Fifth Amendment.
Because he didn't threaten you. Thank you very much. Have a seat.
Now, how he didn't threaten me? You didn't see the film.
You're claiming that he did, but you can't tell me that he did.
He didn't threaten me. Well, how do you know he didn't threaten me if you didn't see the film?
Because you can't tell me what he said.
You're the police liaison between the people and us. Now tell him he's wrong.
Well, apparently, all three of you seen him threaten him. So what did he say? If any of you all had something to say when he asked you if you seen the video. So if you all have something to say, why don't you say what he said?
He said that he would arrest him first and foremost because he was the main instigator.
Okay, is that a threat? Were you breaking the law in that situation? Were you breaking the law in that situation?
Hey, look here. Hey.
Were you breaking the law in that situation?
You want to argue?
This is ridiculous.
Hey, you mad?
Hey, I'm not. I'm just asking you. How did you break the law?
You want to argue?
Y'all, I'm done. All right, let's do this. If y'all want to go outside and hug it out, let's go. But let's move on.
Come on.
All right. Pastor Owens, Edward Owens.
Do you want to hug?
Good evening. I have two areas that I need to deal with. I may run out of time, but first of all, I'm Edward Owens, Senior Pastor of Shiloh MD Church, and I'm giving a statement from the Coalition of Pastors. And it reads, ultimately, we know Jesus was a preacher. Isaiah 61, 1 through 2 was the text of his first sermon. And according to the word of God, the poor, the captive, and those bound were important to Jesus. The people gathered around him in the temple as he spoke because his words and voice spoke to their oppression. They were familiar with all the pain and problems of unjust systems. Jesus came, lived faithfully, died in our place, and was triumphantly raised from the dead, so that those who believe in him could experience salvation by grace through faith. A collective effort of the ministry of Christ focuses on both the moral problem of sin and the immorality of sinful systems. Since its inception, the Black Church, as a united community, has engaged in the sacred work of responding to the challenges in our world based on God's word. We step in any time, anywhere we see injustice, and certainly when it comes to our doorstep. Time and again, we've answered the call. And we must answer the call because based on God's word, we have collectively called to learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, and plead the widow's case. The pattern in the scripture is clear. The Lord consistently raised prophetic voices to respond to the waywardness and wickedness. God called the prophets to offer comfort and consolation to those harassed and afflicted by unjust and unrighteous systems. During biblical times, the messenger summoned the prophet to give a word of reproof and correction to those who had grown comfortable with patterns of injustice. we have a calling for prophetic work. We must respond when our community no longer reflects the principles of justice and righteousness. We must stand and issue the call to remember the weightier matters such as justice, mercy, faith, the love of God. It is in the spirit that we write this letter. We publicly and unequivocally state our undying commitment as people of God and people of faith to seek justice. It is what the Lord requires and our duty to fulfill. This commitment is unwavering and steadfast, providing reassurance and confidence to all. Yet, the Lord requires that we do so in love, peace, and order. I'm wrapping up.
You're good.
We commit ourselves to impress upon the hearts of our city and those who bear the sword that the tremendous responsibility of keeping people safe and liberated means that people who are called, elected, and taken oath to keep us safe must themselves be people who do not submit to bias and unjust ideologies that will impede righteous decision-making. Our prayer is for God to bring justice, heal our city, and in time bring peace to the people who bear the scars of past injustices and make our city and each of us whole once again. We pray that the Lord lift every valley of despair to a mountain peak of hope. We pray that every mountain and hill of injustice be made low, the uneven ground of access to justice become level, and the rough places are plain. May the Lord reveal through his glory, and all flesh shall see it together. This assignment is our sacred work, and we shall do it with the Lord's help. Amen. My people came to me and they asked two questions, and that is concerning the zoning issue. Question number one was, what happens when people come to visit, for example, deaths, funerals, and family events? Will the homeowners be ticketed or fined? Depending on where you stay, there may not be enough parking available on the streets. We're talking about parking on the lawn. And secondly, they asked, will occupants living in rental houses be fined for violations? Or will the homeowner or record be fined?
You're talking about the zoning rewrite?
Yes, the zone, yes.
Planning's going, I think, well, okay. I think as far, it would be to the homeowner who would be fined, not the renters. And as far as the parking in the yard, does anybody know? Because it was going to be banned, and then they found kind of a common ground, or where it's not going to be outright banned, but there's going to be a limit on how many there are. I haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah, I can't remember what the exception is for a special event type thing.
Yes.
As I told you the other night, Pastor, excuse me, sorry. We're putting laws onto the books that we're not going to enforce. There is no way possible for us to enforce a law with parking on the grass. There's just no way possible. We did a tethering law at the beginning of this term, and I said at that point, there's no way to enforce this. Who's going to enforce it? And it's not being enforced. So the fact is that you're asking things about an ordinance, parking on the grass. Yeah, we can do all sorts of laws and put them on the books, but we can't enforce those things. So they should not be on the books. I will not support that in any shape, form, or fashion. I don't like it when people park on the grass, but there's no way to enforce that. So again, it's a mute law that we should not even have a conversation about at this particular point unless we've got the ability to enforce it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't disagree with what he said at all. Yeah, go. Oh, okay.
How y'all doing?
Fine, you all right?
I listen, and it just seems like everyone's playing with the intelligence of the people. So I just have a couple questions, especially for him, and then I want you to answer because I know you're going to answer it truthfully. So I worked a case in Brookhaven, Mississippi, under Chief Sambo Collins, where he was targeting, violating people's civil rights, just all types of things. The city council hired an independent department to investigate the police. So does the city of Decatur City Council have the power to do that? To hire someone to investigate them for competency in violating people's civil rights?
I would think so.
So everyone has asked y'all, what are y'all planning on doing? So there's something that you can do and it's just being refused to be done?
No, it's in the process, okay?
You're talking about like a third. You're talking about like a third
party that to investigate the competency, violating people of color, civil rights, and everything going on with you. You swear they on the up and up. So why not hire someone to investigate to see if they're on the up and up?
I've said for months that I believe we should do a third-party review.
Well, why don't y'all do it? So who can you let the citizens know who's stopping that vote, who's against that vote? What's going on?
I think Mr. Marks just said that there's a work in progress right now. I think they've got to find somebody that's proper. I mean, we already have a third-party agency technically, but the people have requested another agency to do that. So I'm not familiar with any other agency that can. I'm not saying that another department won't. I'm almost positive
You familiar with you?
I better say I'm pretty positive there might be other agencies out there that are doing that. I'm just not familiar with them, but I'm sure that somebody is.
Get a timeline on that. As long as we wait, the people are not safe, and this is continuing to happen. See, the community saying that the mayor said that it wouldn't happen.
Said would not?
Would not.
Oh, okay.
Basically, under his watch, it's not gonna happen. He said it was no longer.
Well, the mayor doesn't have the authority to make that decision.
I know it's the council.
It is a council decision.
So
I've already shared that we're in the process of doing what you've asked, okay?
I heard you. I just wanted everyone to hear it for it to go on the record, because that's something that can be done. We've seen clear violations of targeting. What happened to Brother Rodney? That's targeted. You questions of the law. That's against the law to target. They watched him, they seen him, and even went up to him and threatened him. There's not a clear, more dictation of targeting than that. So Officer Renshaw should have been arrested, remanded, or something for clearly targeting this black man on camera.
I have to disagree.
For doing nothing but you didn't see it, but they seen it, and you see they're not saying hell no or no, it happened. Not only did you target him, you targeted Miss Catrilla. Could you imagine? You say it's not about race, but let's look at numbers. Let's look at statistics. So 13% of the population in the U.S. Yet we are the ones that are the most incarcerated, the ones that are the most murdered by the police. All of this, petty crimes, all of that. How? If it's not about like a lot of math, don't take all of the politics agendas out of it. How? That's logically impossible by mathematical standards. See what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't have an exact response to that specific question.
I know we don't.
But I would say that, I mean, if an individual commits a crime and is convicted, no matter what the race is, there may be studies that have been completed by a race basis, but I would say that if an individual...
These are FBI studies.
I think I've actually seen the study you're talking... I think I have seen that study. But I would say that the FBI put those studies out based on convictions, not arrest.
They put it, no, because everyone is assumed innocent to prove it guilty. They put it out based on the rate that it's happening.
Yeah, but I'm almost positive we looked at the same study, but it's based off convictions, though.
No, it's based on how, like murder. How many people were shot by the police? That's what it's based off of. It's not a company. That's what we're talking about. Two different things. But anyway, so I just wanted the community to know that y'all have the power to do that, and you're not doing it. So when they come up here and they talk to you and everybody say, well, we're working on this, if you're not working on that and actually some form of change that where people can see they violated this, they violated, if you think they did nothing, then all of this should be welcome.
Agreed.
But yet it's not happening. He's saying it's going to happen, but it hasn't happened. Can you imagine the police killing your loved one and then intimidating you and placing you in handcuffs? Can you imagine them following you? Can you imagine the feeling? For us, since you don't understand it, every time blue lights turn on behind us, it's a life or death situation. We don't know if we're gonna make it home. We don't know if you're gonna mistake us for somebody else. All of the excuses. What it's gonna be just for being us. These people in here that showing up every week, these are not criminals. These protesters, these are not criminals. These are people who are exercising their rights because they want to see change in their community. We all should stand for that. But I ain't got nothing to say. I just want the people to know that y'all have the power to do something and you're not doing it.
Michelle Garner. Sarah French.
First, I want to say, Danny said a minute ago that you not standing up to help our community can easily get you voted out. I'm telling you, stand up for the community, and it can easily get you reelected. We would be happy for somebody to stand up for what's right, and that puts you back in your spot. I was at Third Friday. The next day I was home and I was still upset over what I had seen and felt the night before. I realized there was not a council meeting that upcoming Monday, so I reached out to each councilman. I would like to thank Mr. Jackson, as he was the only one that responded to my message. That Friday impacted those of us that were there. We had no intentions of going down there and doing anything wrong. We had our kids with us, and we walked down there, and we were also planning on enjoying Third Friday until they told us we were not welcome. We dispersed the very second we were asked to, but they had other plans for us that night, just as they did the night Steve was murdered. Everything about that Friday evening was done wrong, and it let me know exactly where this city stands, which we knew before that night, but something changed that night. The police here are out of control. I saw that Todd knows that by the look in his eye that night. Many times that night I looked at his face, and he literally had fear on his face because he was out of control of his own officers. Although you still think he's the man for the job, his officers do not. They do not respect him. They do not follow his policies. They do not follow procedures. And not only that, they're pretty low down people all around for putting their hands on Catrella Perkins at all, much less while her daughter and Steve's daughter stood there. It broke my heart. Unacceptable in every single way. Justice for Steve.
Elena.
So I hate that Jacob's not here because I did the homework that he assigned me, and I called the League of Municipalities, and Herman Marks was never mentioned by name when I asked about the best city attorneys. So Herman, for that as well, I want to go ahead and put Rodney's question in like layman's terms for you, so that'll help you.
Elena,
I'm asking if it's against the law for them to have gathered at a public event. That's what Rodney's asking. Is it against the law to wear Steve Perkins' shirt and gather at a public event?
She told me you're sleeping.
I'm not sleeping. It depends on what you do, and you know it's a question of facts, okay? You know that.
So the fact of the matter is it against the law for us to wear our Steve Perkins gear and go to a public event?
You know the answer to that is no.
I'm asking you as the best attorney in the state of Alabama.
The answer is no.
Okay, thank you. It's that simple, just to give an answer. Wasting my time here. Now,
You asked the question, I
another
answered.
thing I do want to ask about is the parade ordinance. You remember back in February we did all that? What did it do? Did it do anything to the city? Did the police department get a copy to like understand that, hey, peaceful protests that are on the sidewalk are allowed? Hey, anybody exercising their First Amendment right, even if it's at 7:30 p.m. on a sidewalk, they're allowed to do that without getting tackled or arrested? Did they not get that memo? You're the police liaison. When they come up there and they're asking you, what are you doing? Y'all sit here and treat this like a part-time job. It is, but it's not. You are the day-to-day communication and operation for this community to that police department. And obviously the communication lines are shredded pretty bad, right? I brought my kids to Third Friday. I have not brought my kids to a single protest, to a single council meeting. Nothing. I didn't even bring them to the cookout, did I, Pi? No, because they're 2 and 3 years old. They are young kids. And they were traumatized on Friday by Decatur Police Department. Absolutely traumatized. By the way, these officers just stormed in. Half of them stormed. Half of them are standing back, not knowing what to do. They're standing here with a blank face, not knowing what to do. They've not been given any orders. It's just Lieutenant Renshaw doing whatever he wants to do. My kids. You have kids, you don't. You have kids. If your kids went to Third Friday expecting to have a good time, that's what we all expected to do. We are citizens of this city too. You can go ahead and call.
Your 3 minutes is up.
You can go ahead and call.
Kaylin. Okay, Kaylin. Okay.
If you brought your kids to try to enjoy a public, free event, and in return, they got their first lesson on how policing is done in America. That's what my kids got on Friday. What do I go home and tell my 3-year-old? As a mother, what do I tell her? Don't you think she's been through enough? Don't you think this city alone has put her through enough? Don't you think this city alone has put Avani through enough? And now she's got to see her mom get thrown in handcuffs. She has to see a peaceful gathering turn violent because of one Decatur police officer gone rogue that the chief of police can't even control. But he's the greatest chief, right? He's great. Billy Jackson said it multiple times, not put words in his mouth. Todd Pinion, cool, he's a great friend. Great to go to the bar, have a drink, cool. But he is not a good leader for that police department. You have to wake up and realize that at some point. I don't know how many of you saw this picture on Facebook of Lieutenant Renshaw with a taser to a black man's chest. That would have never happened to a white man on Third Friday. Not even if he was drunk and disorderly. Not even if he was drunk and disorderly. Not even if he punched an officer. When he had a taser put to his chest, as 4 or 5, can't really tell how many officers are behind his back handcuffing this man. And he has a taser put to his chest. How many of you have seen that picture? Now imagine if Steve Perkins was alive. That might have been him. That might have been him fighting for his brother who got murdered because this police department is out of control and it's gonna happen again. Y'all are not standing up. You're not doing anything. You're showing Lieutenant Renshaw, Lieutenant Lindley, who was on staff the night that Steve was killed and is still getting to harass protesters. You're not showing Jack Brown. You're not showing any of them that they are going to be punished for breaking the law. We don't expect them to be perfect. We expect them to do their job, just like we expect all of you to. It isn't part-time. A tragedy happened in this city. When you get through that tragedy, then you can go back to part-time, playing pickleball, having mimosas on a Monday morning. But for right now, everybody in here is uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable. You don't like us being here. You don't like us being loud. You don't like us doing the right that our country, our founding fathers gave us to do. Why? It's what got you elected. Our right to vote. Our right to stand up and voice our opinions that you're a great councilman. You're a great councilman. You're a terrible one. It's us that get you elected. It's us that get you unelected.
3 minutes.
What's his name?
And I don't understand what constituents y'all listen to. Because apparently some people love to stay on Facebook all day, but I have a life, so when I do get to hop on and see things, a lot of things that I'm seeing are the Back Mac supporters don't want Mayor Tab in anyway. They don't want Todd Pinion in anyway. They fired the officers. The Back Mac supporters don't want them either. So who are you listening to? Back Mac supporters don't want Hunter because he talks too much on Facebook. So who are y'all listening to? I mean, it's a genuine question. Who is calling you and telling you, hey, speaking of which, who is calling you and y'all responding because Valerie Harrison said she had a conversation with an elected official, and one of you, anybody can claim this at any time, or if you know who it is, please allow the community to know, because we all deserve to hear this, right? She asked, I have concerns about the protesters and what they may be planning for future events. The elected official responded, don't be concerned, there are plans in place. We have spoken to neighboring municipalities and Governor Ivey, good luck. They are ready to assist us with police and the National Guard if necessary. For who? For who? My 2- and 3-year-olds trying to enjoy Third Friday? For who? For the people that stand outside the mayor's house saying, hey, begging for him to listen? He wants to apologize to his neighbors, but he can't apologize to Steve's neighbors, can he? Can't apologize to anybody standing here asking for his attention, can he? And y'all gotta take the heat for it. Why? Why will you not stand up and say, I don't think that he should step out? Why won't you stand up and say that I think he should step down? Why won't you say it?
You talking about Tab?
Yeah.
I've said many times I believe he should stay for public comment.
Do you think he should step down? Why won't you say that?
That is his decision to make.
That's
fine. Look, you asked me a question. You asked me a question. I'm gonna give you an answer. I told you that from the beginning. That is an answer. If he wants to step down, then he should step down. Do I think he will? No. But I do think he should be here to listen.
He should. Vocabulary. Should.
I don't know.
It's a yes or no question. This is why your community is getting frustrated. That's all the answer you have. I don't know. I don't know. It's been 7 months. Can you figure it out? At some point, we're tired of waiting for y'all to figure it out. We're not going nowhere. What are y'all gonna do when the DOJ gets down here? Are y'all gonna be found in conspiracy with the police department? Just because you back him blindly and ignorantly, that will not save you. When he goes down, you're going down too. They're gonna ask you why. I'm wrapping it up right here. They're gonna ask you.
Wait, hold up. Who's yielding to this one?
He is right here.
What's your name?
He did.
No, they gave it
Who? What's your name? I'm sorry, what's your name?
He's already raised his hand once.
Yeah, I've already got him. What's your name? Okay, I got you.
Y'all talk about mutual respect on both sides. When have we come in here disrespecting someone that backs back? Saying that, they deserve to go back to their prison cell that they were never in. As they said, probably on Facebook. When have we done that? Mutual respect? I think we have been the only ones giving that. Mutual respect. Take away the toddler's tablet if y'all want mutual respect. The instigator. We can agree to disagree because we're not, but we can't be inhumane. Do you understand that? We can't be inhumane. I don't wish Mac Marquette torture and the death penalty. I wish for him to be held accountable for his actions so that when my daughter is growing up and my son is growing up in this world, I can say, look, if you murder someone, you get held accountable. No matter if you wear a badge, no matter if you're black or white, you will be held accountable. This country has higher standards, and this city should. Y'all will be held responsible for your actions for the last 7 months. So the DOJ is gonna come down here. So this is your last chance, especially after Third Friday, after Sierra, what happened to her being tackled for no reason, what's happened to several other protesters in this city, not even protesters, citizens in this city that are voicing their concerns. And you nod your head all you want, but you're still backing the man that's putting us behind bars. You're still backing the man that's taking us away from our families. You're still backing the man that's, I'm guessing, given the A-OK to go and put a taser to a man and threaten Rodney Because he's the chief, right? It should be all on him, but it always gets put on his separate officers. What kind of leader is that? I noticed that he hasn't been here for the past few meetings at all. Hasn't showed up, doesn't want to listen. That's okay. He doesn't have to listen anymore. We're going to get somebody down here that will tell him to go.
Sierra Taylor.
First off, I want to say I've been waiting on this for a week and 3 days. Okay, first thing I want to address though is something totally separate than this. Is what is the city's policy on police officers door dashing in the patrol car in full uniform? Like, are they supposed to be doing that? Because I witnessed that with my own 2 eyes. Watched her confirm the order as she picked it up and got into the patrol cruiser to go deliver it. So is this what our police officers are supposed to be doing? Because she cannot be serving and protecting this community while she's door dashing.
I would imagine that is not good policy.
So I feel like the police needs to, even outside of what they're doing to us, needs to be checked into. She's door dashing in the police patroller. Like, full uniform with a gun on her hip. Who wants their DoorDash delivered with a cop? No! No, absolutely not. Take that food back. Now, moving on to the Steve Perkins movement. I have a question about, so on Friday we were met with a lot of violence, as everyone's seen, except according to you, you didn't see it. But so we were met with a lot of...
Let me correct you for a second. I said I didn't see a video with a man being threatened.
So did you see the video?
You're not specifying which video. So you
did you see the video from Third Friday? It was all on the same video.
So I did see a video regarding Third Friday. That is a more specific question. So yes, I did.
Okay, well anyways, I've got plenty of time. I don't mind. But so Friday we were met with a lot of violence, but Saturday we were met with violence there, and then this past Friday we had an awareness march. Okay, at this awareness march we were followed street by street by police in corners watching us. 2 drones flying over our heads as we were doing nothing wrong. Saturday there was an autism awareness march. Same thing, awareness march, right? They were not followed. They did not have drones following them. What is the difference in them wanting awareness and us wanting awareness? What's the difference? And why are we being harassed and no one else is at their awareness marches? Do you know?
Well, I don't know that.
Do you know?
There is no difference.
Okay. So now, back to the police liaison job. I've looked up what your actual job, like what you are supposed to be doing. And it says that you are to speak directly with the police and negotiate terms of interaction with activists, rights to protest, and level of police response. Have you done that?
I don't think that's an accurate job description.
It's very accurate. Look it up.
Where did you get that definition?
It's the under an Alabama. I can get you a copy of it if you'd like to see it. It was.
Is it the league handbook?
Yeah.
So, that is the definition of your job. You're supposed to be helping communicate between us and their response.
So, I have been communicating. And not everybody in this room knows the meetings I've had. I've communicated. I've tried to keep open lines of communication because, like I said from day one, I think that's the only way that this is fixed.
Well, my concern is it's not changing anything. Like, if you're communicating, what are we doing?
Okay, so what it's got to take is it's got to take people getting to a table, and I'm glad that happened recently. Folks sat down at a table and they discussed things, and that's what it's going to take. That is what this is going to take. Anybody can call me and sit down, and we'll meet and we'll talk. People in this room know how open and available I am. And I know that most of these guys up here on this dais have done the same thing.
Okay. I just don't see any action with the police department, I guess. Maybe you're doing your part on the communication, but they're not doing their part on the listening, maybe? I don't know.
What's the results?
Right, there's no results. Okay, so at Third Friday, we were causing no disturbance at all. We formed a circle We set a couple of chants, just awareness. We were wearing our gear, and we went our separate ways when they said disperse, which we were already planning to do before we left here, which is on your cameras out here. That's so top secretive. You can hear Rodney say, there will be no cussing. There will be no acting a fool. We are going down there respectfully. We're going to be aware with our shirts. That's all that really people see this, they know. Okay, so we don't have to really speak a lot, especially when there's a big group of us wearing it. But we were met by police officers, mainly Lieutenant Renshaw, going absolutely rogue. My husband is the one that had a taser put to his chest, my black husband. Okay, 2 weeks to the day after I was assaulted by Jack Brown. So, you know, we've got an issue there. And also, someone had spoke earlier about, do you guys want a class action lawsuit? There is a class action lawsuit, just so y'all know. It is class action now. Oh, Tom? Okay, Derek Taylor is his name. Wearing a mask in public is not against the law. There is no laws against it. In fact, if you have a health condition, it is advised that you wear a mask in public because there are so many strands of the flu, and COVID-19 is still a very real thing. Okay? My husband has COPD and emphysema. He was also sick at the time, which we didn't know what he had. So he wore a mask for not only his protection, but the public's protection. And he was then arrested. At the time they said disorderly, which he wasn't being disorderly. I guess wearing a mask is disorderly. Not sure. There was plenty of other old white people down there wearing masks and nobody said nothing.
Did you say he was sick at the time?
He was sick at the time.
Wouldn't it make more sense to go home and not be around a crowd of people?
I guess it made sense to do what he wanted to do.
I mean, that would make more sense to me.
Okay. All right, so they threatened him with disorderly conduct. They then came to him and said, remove your mask, or you're going to jail for disorderly conduct. That's what he was told. So as he's reaching up to remove his mask, he is met by 4 police officers, 2 on each arm, pulling his arms down, preventing him from removing the mask. He could not comply. Eventually, he was able to remove the mask. He was trying to explain to Renshaw that he was sick and that he had COPD. He didn't care. He was just wanting anyone he could get. So I feel like he was targeted. I feel like he was very much targeted. Because when Renshaw said to Rodney, I'm going to arrest you first and foremost because you seem to be the instigator, my husband said, go find you a problem somewhere else. We're not being a problem.
That's what we got.
So simply because he said that, he was on him for anything. So since he couldn't get him for disorderly, because that's not disorderly, he got him for loitering at Third Friday. How do you loiter in an entertainment district at a public event? How is that loitering? Anybody know how that's loitering?
That was actually his charge, loitering.
That's actually his charge, is loitering. And then even though he has his hands up, allowing them to arrest him, he didn't fight. He was trying to explain, will you cuff me in the front? Because a few weeks ago, I had shoulder surgery. Renshaw shook his head. They continued to arrest him. He went willingly. However, they drug him across the road because it wasn't because he was resisting, how they wanted to make that look. That's not what it was. They had tased him in his chest. And his legs went limp, which he told them. They continued to drag him. Yes. Then took him to jail on loitering and resisting. However, it was called it wasn't, where the prongs are dispersed. It's what's called a dry tase. A dry tase is placed directly on the body, intended to cause pain without incapacitating the target, or in this case, cause pain just because you don't like the person. All right, so Alabama has a training when police officers go through training for to be a police officer. They have a zone training on where you should place a taser on an individual. Here to here is a no zone. Your extremities and here down to here, and then your legs. That is where you can be tased. Why did this man walk up and place a taser directly on my husband's heart?
And he held it.
And he held it there. Held it there, tasing him in his chest. Why? That could have sent him into cardiac arrest very easily. I've done my research. I have the paperwork. I'm not allowed to address her, but I can bet you she'd tell you that she's been trained not to put it on the chest. I bet you she has. So in the DPD policy handbook, okay. In the Decatur Police Department policy handbook.
Somebody else's. Okay, yeah, there you are. Sorry.
Oh, also, side note, you're not supposed to tase anyone with a handcuff on because it draws to the metal. So he also was being tased in his chest, but it was running down his arm because he had handcuffs on. So there's that fact. So Decatur Police Department has a policy that states the same zoning that Alabama's policy does. So these officers, I know for a fact, were trained not to do that. I know they were because that's in the policy handbook. And if they weren't, then there's some really sad excuse for training going on. All right, so the fact that when Jack Brown assaulted me, Todd Pinion said to someone that was a very reliable source that he's already fired 2 police officers. What more do we want? We want the bad cops gone. The cops that are abusing their power and abusing the citizens, we want them gone so that it's not so hard on the good cops. It's not so hard on our community. We don't have to be in fear. I'm sure somewhere on this police department there's police that hate coming to work because they know that they're going to have to deal with bull crap because of the bad police officers, and that is not fair. It's not fair to them. It's not fair for this community to be in fear. There's got to be some changes. Like, when are we going to get these changes? Is it going to take another death? Because Friday could have resulted in one. That could have sent him into cardiac arrest. That could have resulted in another death. Thank the Lord it did not. Very easily could have. Again, I did my research. All right, so my thing here is if he's saying that what more do we want, he's basically not going to fire these police officers, then how can you guys sit here and tell me that he is the man for the job of chief? Because obviously, and like someone said earlier, you could see the fear in Todd Pinion's eyes all over his face because he knew he had no control. He actually told Renshaw to not place Cottrella under arrest, and Renshaw said, no, she's going to jail. He told him multiple times to take the handcuffs off of Cottrella, and he refused to. Todd Pinion had to take them off himself. His officers are not listening to him. Something has to be done. Like we as citizens that's out here wanting justice, we're in danger. I have a bone sticking out of my hand right now from when Jack Brown assaulted me. My husband's probably going to have shoulder surgery all over again from them dragging him by his arms and neck surgery. I need to see some change in the city, and it starts, like, you guys can do stuff. You guys can make some changes. Do it. Like, we're begging you. We are literally begging, but let me tell you this. We're done being peaceful if we can't be met with the same peace that we've given. Have you guys heard of the Black Militia? Have y'all heard of the Black Militia group? Have y'all heard of Black Panthers? Did y'all see what happened with George Floyd? I don't want that to happen to this community, but if we're continuing to met with this kind of force, they will be here. So now, change for the city and justice for Steve.
Bradley. Lisa Bradley. Is this you? Okay.
Lisa, go ahead and let you go for it. I'm a phone you, but I don't know how you got called.
I was really gonna let somebody. I was really gonna let somebody have my minutes, but since. Okay, let me just real quick. But before I get into that, I just want to say one thing. before I give them to her, I just want to say one thing. And some may not agree with me, but I read the Decatur policy and procedures. And I don't know why we looking to change rules. What we need to do is make these folks follow the rules. That's all I want to say. She can have mine.
I wasn't coming, but I was watching it live, and he just really he pissed me off. But what I was gonna tell y'all, I was one of the ones that talked to Todd while we were out there. Cause see, I wasn't there when they walked up. I came late, and I seen everybody running up the street. So I jumped out the car and ran up there. I knew. I said when I just seen some people running up the street. I knew. I said they picking with them. When I got out the car, Controller was sitting on the curb with his handcuffs on. I spoke with Todd. I said, Todd, unless you want this to go another way, you need to get them cuffs off of her. He said, I done told them to take it off of her. They ain't listening to me. I said, but Todd, ain't you the chief? I'm going. He turned around and walked off, and he went to the chief. He told me out of his own mouth, they're not listening to me. I spoke to Renshaw. I was like, what is going on? I went around the car. You know, I'm always one gonna talk. I don't care who it is, I'm gonna talk. Yes. I spoke with Renshaw. He was standing right behind me. Right after I got through talking to Todd, he said, Todd, can I speak to you, Mr. Chief Todd? Penny, can I talk to you? He told me, he said, stay right here, I'll be right back. He said, don't move, I'll be right back. Renshaw walked over, he said, as I was talking to Renshaw, he telling him, move, move. He was like, the chief told me to stand here. I told you to move, I ain't standing. He said, didn't I just tell your boss told me, to stand right here? Because Todd did tell him, he said, stay right there, I'll be right back, don't move. He said, I ain't studying what Todd talking about. He got it on video. He said, I ain't studying what Todd talking about. He said, I told you to move. Yeah, and then when they got on the intercom and the little lady read the thing about moving or whatever, they told us, get out the road. We said it's Thursday, Friday, the road blocked out. Why we gotta get out the road? They said if you got on a Steve Perkins shirt, get out the road. They told every last one of us get out the road. On Thursday, Friday, in the middle of the road where it's blocked off. I said the road blocked off though. They didn't want us. Yeah, they didn't want us there. Like they said, they didn't want us there. He told me, Renshaw told me, he said, they don't want y'all here. I said, who is they? He said the community. I said, are we not the community? He said, I'm talking about them. I said, what do you mean them? The ones up there, they don't want y'all here. Won't y'all just leave? I said, but aren't we the community? This man told me we weren't community. He was talking about them. He said, no, they don't want y'all here. And if you think I'm telling the story, one my classmate was standing right behind me, and he stopped, and he said, the reason I stopped, he said, Tam, because I know you've always been a peacemaker. He said, I just want to make sure they didn't do nothing to you. And I'm sure all y'all know him, Whit Roby. Whit was standing right behind me. Whit stopped and stood there. He said, I didn't want them to do nothing to you. He said, now I sit there, he heard him tell, they don't want y'all. He was like, why would he say that? He heard him tell me that. He said, they don't want y'all here. I mean, y'all keep, for him to sit there and say that they're not listening to him, they're not listening to him, and they blankly showed, like I said, he got it on video. Because he told me when he said, say it again. Say it again. And he said, I'll record you, say it again. He said it again while he can record it. I saw it. That just shows he has no respect for Penny. So something gotta be done. Because Renshaw went rogue. And I know the time is up or whatever. But Renshaw stopped me out here one day. He stopped me out. He said, hey, Tampa, can you come up for a second? I'm looking like, who are you doing? Who are you? He said, you don't remember me for being on the street halls? I said, no. And y'all remember they dismantled the street hall because they was all rogue and, they were breaking laws and everything. Right. Yeah, they promoted. They dismantled. They promoted all of them. But he stopped me out there and he said, you don't remember me from the street? I said, because I ain't never been out with the street. I know the street hall, but you ain't never arrested me. You never did nothing to me. So but he was like, I was one of the good ones. You don't remember me from out in Stonegate? I said, I don't. I'm one of the good ones. Everybody was out here because they all walked up when he was talking to me. He said, I said, so what do you think about that? He said, if it was me, he said, with the Steve Perkins thing, it would have been different with me. He said, I would have at least had the lights on. He said, it would have been handled a lot different. He said, I just don't want y'all to think I wanted the bad one. But then you turn around and go right outside with rubber bullets trying to shoot at everybody with the gun. He's the same one that had the gun that had the rubber bullets in it. I mean, y'all would have to do something, 'cause he's just like, he's going rogue. He shouldn't have been on the force. I seen him 2 days later driving his truck. Yeah, he should have been on desk duty or something. Come on.
When Julie Godwin earlier, she had held her in. She didn't give them away. She held them, and she's holding them for her. For Ms. Perkins to be able to speak. So I'm gonna let her go before me.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm the proud mother of Catrilla Perkins, the proud mother-in-law for Stephen Perkins. I'm tired of excuses and lies from the councilman, the mayor, and the police department who thinks they're above the law. God made it very clear when it was quoted that whatever you do to the least one of mine, you have done it also unto me. There are a lot of wicked people in this council meeting and in the police department. By this I mean you have haughty eyes, a lying tongue, a heart that plots wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, and people who stir conflict in the community and target people, peaceful protesters. Please remember this, God hates hands that shed innocent blood. To shed innocent blood is to take the life of someone who has done nothing worthy of death. God loves and protects those who stand up for justice and righteousness. We believe that our strong and mighty God will bring justice and peace for the Perkins, Kennedy, Porter families, and our community. Only God can turn this mess into a message. So examine yourself. If God called your souls tonight, where would you spend eternity? Every breath we breathe, we are breathing for Stephen Perkins. Say his name.
For Cornelius.
I'll go last. Sometimes last ain't always last. Sometimes last is first. They don't answer everything. I mean, I'm being impressed with my people every day.
Hey, how y'all doing? I guess I wanted to, I've been sitting back looking at everything, I guess, to address the stuff about Third Friday and I guess the disorderly conduct and stuff of that nature. But first, I want to be like, I think it was 18-0 on that thing for Bailey getting charged, right? How do you feel about it?
It was what now?
A unanimous decision on the Bailey getting charged with indicted for murder. How you feel?
I mean, if that was it was 18-0. He was indicted. He was indicted. I mean, that's the justice system.
So he was wrong, right?
He was indicted by a jury of his
How do you feel about it?
The grand jury was tasked with reviewing the evidence presented by the DA and came to a conclusion, 18-0, that there was a possibility of murder.
Mr. Jason, how do you feel about it?
I agree with the indictment.
How do you feel about it, Hunter?
I personally don't think he should have been indicted, but I will say that with a grand jury indictment of 18, that is.
All right, cool.
I'm curious to know what they see.
All right, that's cool. You know what? Because you know your opinion. That's the best thing about this country, right? The best thing about this country, you're entitled to your opinion, right?
That's right.
Our great-great-grandfathers and everything fought for this country, right? Even the black people back in the 1980s and still had to drink from another water fountain, just so you know that. So I say that to say this: these amendments ain't hard to understand. The First Amendment. You want, I guess, whatever they called you for the police officers or whatnot, you know what I'm saying? So the amendments ain't that hard to follow. The First Amendment is not that hard. And it's easily to see that it was violated on the video. So I'm not understanding it. Then Renshaw having taken a picture saying he backed up Mac, how y'all still letting him be out there?
Well, isn't he entitled to his opinion like you are?
Yes, but now when he's in a public, he's in a police officer form. He was in his uniform backing him up.
I still think he has.
But for him, I don't mind him still doing his police officer, his job and duty, but to mess with the protesters, you don't think something wrong with that?
Should be tasked with doing anything.
No, I don't. He's a police officer. He's here to do his job. And
also I wanted to let you know on that threat, on that threat that Rodney was talking about, any police officer cannot threaten. That's a violation of your First Amendment and your 14th Amendment. You took a right to uphold the Constitution, didn't you? Everybody did, right? Do I need to reiterate that to you? I do. Article 7, paragraph 2 of the U.S. Constitution is commonly referred to a U.S. Supreme Clause. It established the federal Constitution. Federal law generally takes precedence over state laws and even state constitutions. I'm going to go to your 14th Amendment. It pretty much says we have the right to assemble, man. Peacefully assemble. That's what we did Friday, Big Mouth. You didn't see nothing wrong with that? That's what I'm saying. So that's a violation. So you haven't said anything to them about it? It's not rocket science. I think we learned this in the 5th or 6th grade, bro. I think we learned our amendments in the 5th or 6th grade. What I'm saying is we all have, I'm pretty sure you guys have siblings. So I'm gonna end with this. I got a brother. He got involved with a murder at 15 years old. He was wrong for it. But you think I stood up and said anything about it? Because that's my sibling and I'm gonna still ride for him and love him until he do right. But that's what y'all doing for baby.
Justin, you want to go?
Well, I was sure there's people ahead of me though.
Just Walter.
Didn't he sign up though?
Yeah, I did. Go ahead, Justin.
Oh, Will signed up.
Oh, yeah, Will signed up.
Will signed up?
So I notice you getting a little bit uncomfortable when we bring up race. Someone earlier stated that 13% of the population is the most wrongfully committed. Do you know that exact number? Since you backed him so much, I'm just
13%
curious.
of what was
It's
your-
50%.
Sorry, repeat your question one more time. You said 13%.
Someone
of what?
earlier stated that 13% of the population, black people, are mostly wrongfully convicted. Do you know that exact number?
51% actually. It's like 50.8.
Yeah, I just said it to you.
Yeah. Well, you said 50, so get your facts correct.
I'm not done yet.
Well, wait, you didn't say it correctly though. So if you'll speak correctly, then we would understand. There we go.
1%. You just added a number. Okay, so do you know the global population in terms of America? Do you know?
I think the last census was like...
It's 5%, but we make up 20% of the global prison population. That's 50% wrongful convictions in the biggest fucking police state. And you're riding for them?
Please don't use humanity.
Not again.
I thought this was America.
You can't cuss.
I just spoke about the First Amendment.
Yeah, what the heck?
You do
what
not
the
have...
frick?
There you go. There you go.
I got one more. Is it baseball or is it America? Do you know how big the prison population has gotten since the 70s? Since you ride for them, it's 500%. I'm just going to leave it with that. I just want you to think about those numbers every time you're out here smirking when someone brings up race.
People would quit committing crimes would have a problem.
My question is to you. Okay, y'all. First, I'm gonna tell y'all. Last week I was in the Huddle House, sitting there drinking coffee. Y'all know, those who know me, I did walk by Pastoral House. Those are the places I go. When I was sitting by the drink machine, T-iron blocking my face, I hear this loud voice comes in and said, "You know, my boy walked out again on the council, mate. He's tired of their, he's tired of hearing their effing comments, real loud." As I'm sitting right there behind the T-iron, I raised up. He looked like a deer in the headlights. He spoke to me twice. I didn't say nothing. Some said hit the record button. So I hit the record button. He spoke to me 2 more times. Then went ahead to threaten me. "That's my son. That's my son. I'll have you locked up," and whatever else he's going to do. So this is Hunter Pepper's dad. He said, "So the apple won't fall too far from the tree." See, I felt like I was being targeted.
You say you recorded it?
Yeah, I got it on. Yeah, I got the recording, baby.
Let's hear it.
Sure do. It's on TikTok, baby.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, it's on there. I ain't got to appease you. But like I said, this happened in public and it's been public recorded. Yes, it has. Like I said, he was bragging about how his son talking about he tired of hearing us. Tired of hearing our complaints. Tired of hearing us sit up in council meetings. You know what I'm saying? And he was proud that his boy walked out. You know what I'm saying? When he's a city councilman. This is what he said now. He's proud that his son walked out. You feel me? That he got time to listen to our S-word. and he's tired of that F and S word. He said it loud and proud. I got witnesses.
So if you're
I got
going
witnesses.
to make an accusation against an individual, you should have the courage to sit here and present some sort of proof. Your allegation is slander, and it's ridiculous. You're wrong to drag our family into it, man. Cut down. It's ridiculous. Hold on. Let me tell you something. Our families are irrelevant to the position. Hold on. Let me say my piece. Mr. Orr. Our families are irrelevant to our positions up here. Completely irrelevant.
What you think about my daughter when you put false allegations in the newspaper?
Mr. Orr.
What you think about my child being bullied? When you put false allegations
are irrelevant to these positions.
Exactly. It's very relevant. It's very relevant.